if I'm Zach Wilson, I'm like, oh my God, what did I do to deserve this? Where I'm supposed to be pressing the reset button to get back on the field. Meanwhile, this guy's running away with the job, and they're wearing Mike White T-shirts. And the stuff Garrett Wilson said after the game against Mike White, I'd go back and check the score and make sure they didn't actually win the game. There were the kind of glowing quotes that you never see get made about a quarterback whose team lost the game, but that's how much they believe in this guy. So I think the Jets will be fine. They should have won yesterday. Now, look, they're 7-5. They got the Bills in Buffalo. They lose that when they're 7-6. But I still think they'll find a way to get in to the tournament this year and lay the foundation for maybe a big step next year.
I would agree with you, Mike. And one of the things about Mike White, that we saw yesterday was just his absolute toughness. There was a play late in that game in the fourth quarter where he gets crushed on third down. He was down for a little bit, and I'm thinking, uh-oh, is this the end for Mike White? Is he going to have to come out? And he gets back up, gets in the huddle. They call the play. It's 4th and 10, and he fires a seed, as we're going to see right here, down the middle of the field. That is a great ball. And especially considering the situation, that, I think, tells you why the Jets players have the kind of belief that they have in him, because he has the toughness and he's got the ability. And also, you see him walking into the stadium with, Mighty Ducks jerseys on with some of his teammates. I know CJ Uzomah was part of that. You weren't all, I don't necessarily put Zach Wilson down with this, but this is not the kind of thing that you were seeing with Zach Wilson, right? It's the kind of thing that you see with Mike White. He has really sort of galvanized that offense and that team. And that's one of those intangibles that you can't necessarily measure, but I think it has a certain effect on the New York Jets, and that's why they feel good going forward with him.
They were done at 20-3. They were done, and they willed their way back into it to the point where it felt inevitable that they were going to win the game. There were stretches in the second half where I'm like, this is it. They're going to take this thing. They are going to win this game. They're going to come back from 17 down, and the legend of Mike White is going to continue. But they still failed, and the legend of Mike White continues. And I'm looking at his numbers: 31 for 57, 369 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. It works out to a passer rating south of 70, I think. So, it was not a good day statistically, but they moved the ball. The problem was the red zone. 1 for 6 in the red zone when it comes to scoring touchdowns. 5 field goals on the day, a couple of turnovers, 1 turnover late. One of the field goals was well out of the red zone. It was the 60-yarder that really was the first indication maybe we have a game here. It goes from 20-3 to 20-6 right before the end of the half because Greg Zuerlein willed a 60-yarder just inside the upright. But Mike White was 3 for 16, or the Jets overall were 3 for 16, converting third downs. And even with all that, that's the thing. You're looking at some what the hell? And even with those what the hell, they still – They have the running game going. Breece Hall, long gone. Running game still good. Garrett Wilson, stud. They've got pieces around them. They really, I feel like this team is just scratching the surface on what it can be. They're learning how good they are. They don't quite realize yet what they are and what they can be. Games like yesterday are an opportunity to come to that conclusion. But I still think they understand what they have, and they're going to continue to build on it.
There are no moral victories, but if Braxton Berrios catches that pass, in the end zone on 4th down, then we're having a bit of a different discussion today.
Maybe. The Vikings still could. They would have had time. That was the drive where they would have had time to maybe try to do something.
Yes, but like I said, it's a bit of a different discussion. I think we're still, in this conversation, we're still praising Mike White, for helping bring the Vikings back. And the Vikings defense was great in the red zone. I think we got to give them credit at least for that. But yeah, I agree with you that the Jets are learning how good they are. And frankly, if you just execute a little bit better down here in the red zone, then you win that game. And when you go 1 for 6 in the red zone, that really tells you just how many opportunities you missed. You have to be able to score more points when you're down there in those critical situations. So we'll see how they do against the Buffalo Bills, which is another good defense. But there it is right there. Catch the ball, Braxton Berrios. Hey, catch the ball.
Interesting decisions, too. throwing it twice on third down and fourth down when your running game's looking pretty good. Look at that throw. Threading the needle.
It's a good throw.
To Berrios. Awesome. I mean,
catch the ball.
Yeah.
Help your quarterback out right there. I think Braxton Berrios would say he's got to catch that ball. So, I mean, it's not, you have to make those plays if you're going to be a winning football program. And the Jets didn't do it yesterday, but they at least seem like they're in the living, breathing NFL where it's at times in the past few years, it has not seemed like that at all.
Going into this season, I said there were 3 teams in the AFC that were in a position where they had no chance to contend. There were 13 contenders, and then there were the Jets, the Texans, and the Jaguars. And here are the Jets. At best this year was supposed to be the Jets, getting to 6 or 7 wins, having reason to think that next year they can make the step. They've made the step. They've been phenomenal, and they've stolen games that maybe they should have lost just through sheer will, through great coaching. They've been through this up and down with the quarterback position, but I think they're in great shape. And if they could go to Buffalo and knock off the Bills, they'd be in even better shape. But that's a tall order coming up in 6 days. That's a great game looming on the Week 14. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.